Nicole. How are you guys? I'm just in the process of getting some things all squared away. So just letting some time go by so anybody who's going to be joining us gets a chance to jump in and join us. Which will be pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited about that. Excuse me. Get this. Almost there. Hey. Yeah. All right. We got 2 more minutes, so we're gonna let anybody else jump in. How you doing, Laura? It's good to see you. Thanks for joining. This is gonna be awesome today. I'm a little early today, but rather be early than late. Get everything all squared away. So that'll be pretty awesome. Okay, so welcome everybody. I'm very excited about this. So this is the weekly HR coffee talk that I do. This is actually our 3rd installment, and if you can't watch the whole episode today, you'll be able to actually find it on the replay. So we've got on Instagram, we've got going on Facebook Live, and then we also got the other angle recording, so you'll be able to catch everything. What you won't be able to catch are the comments and the questions that are actually coming through. So with that being said, when those things happen, we will definitely, I'll call them out. I won't just answer a question, but we'll definitely get out. So, so what I do and what this is about. So my name is Brenda. I am the president and the founder of a small company called Best Practices. And what my job is and what I enjoy doing is actually providing 360 degrees support for small and micro businesses. And what that means is specifically in the field of HR. I've been a practitioner for over the last 20 years. I've seen a lot of things done a lot of different ways. I have been very successful and very fortunate actually to have consulted to over 300 businesses and small suite and C-suite executives. So again, my goal is to provide that 360 degrees of HR support to small and micro companies and to individual practitioners. And what I'm committed to talking about is real world current events that actually impact business and impact your business specifically. It makes it very challenging and very difficult when the landscape constantly shifts and moves. So, HR law and the HR platform, it changes on a daily basis and on a regular basis. So every day I can, log in and look at the things that I look at, and I can absolutely see all of the dynamics that are constantly changing. So getting that information out is actually key and critical. I do have a couple of announcements coming up. And I apologize, I just got back from doing some traveling last week, so just kind of still getting myself back into my normal shuffle here. But we have a podcast episode that's coming out on Wednesday. If you have not yet heard what it is that we provide and do on the podcast, it's a lot of fun. It provides information. We have a hot topic. We usually have a guest. But again, it's all content that pertains specifically to what's going on in the field of small business. So this episode that's coming up is actually called How to Prepare to Talk to Your Employment Attorney. And we have a guest that's being featured on it who is an actual employment attorney with Jackson Lewis. Her name is Christina Vicara. Christina's awesome. I've known her for years. She and I have worked on cases together, and I have referred her to a number of my clients as well, and she's just absolutely fantastic. So right now we're on about 9 different platforms. You can find out where these platforms are by going to the website, and that is www.bestpractices.work. And if you go to the podcast page, you'll actually see all of the various platforms that we sit on. So easy to find. So before I really get started, I want to thank my pals over at Victory Coffees. These guys keep me awake. I love their coffee. So Victory Coffees it's a wonderful cup of coffee. It is veteran owned and operated, and if you really want a just really good cup of coffee, I highly recommend going over there because they're fantastic. Oh my gosh, especially on a morning like today because it's absolutely beautiful out. It is absolutely gorgeous outside, and summer is right around the corner here. I know last weekend it was like 35 degrees and snow and rain over in the Midwest, and it was 80 over the weekend, so it was pretty phenomenal. I also have a couple other announcements, some events that are coming up. May 9th, mark your calendars. So for businesses, I'm going to be doing a presentation that I'm going to stream live on Instagram and Facebook and it's American with Disabilities Act for employers. And that's going to be from 2, I'm guessing it's going to be about a 30-minute episode or 30-minute presentation, but it's going to definitely start at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Instagram and Facebook Live. And what we're going to talk about is, what does it mean? What does American with Disabilities Act mean specifically for an employer? Then at 3:30, we're going to do another presentation, again, on Facebook and Instagram Live, but this one's now going to be for the employee. So what exactly does that mean for the employee? It's, the intention for doing, both is one, to get the employers the information of the things that they need to do. And then the second piece is for a lot of the veterans that I work with, this second presentation actually really is for you. So, and you'll be able to find the replay on YouTube for both of those. So those are that. So today, had some really kind of interesting questions. For those of you that are popping in and out, definitely type your questions in. But we got a couple of good ones that we're going to talk about today. So I had some of these come in not too long ago that I'm going to be answering here today live. And yeah, all sorts of good stuff. All right, so first question is, I have 2 employees that usually take their 3-week vacations per year in full. They're good, but I don't like that they are not more committed. What should I do as a CEO? So here's my thought process on this. Now, we just talked about this in the last podcast episode. I don't want to step on you. We just talked about this in the last podcast episode, and attracting talent is really, really, really hard right now. And a lot of the reason is because we have low low unemployment rate. And in a situation like this, when you have a low unemployment rate, what that means is that basically everybody who is capable of working right now is. And when you have that, what you're getting is that the talent that you're searching for, more often than not, is currently in a desired position. Those that are out looking are people really who are trying to break through industry. They're trying to establish their feet. That doesn't mean that the right talent isn't out there, but these are going to be folks that are more on the trainable level, individuals that you would want to work on and develop, people that you're going to have to kind of raise within the organization into the talent that you want. It also includes job hoppers. It also includes individuals that are just throwing their information out there because they can kind of cherry pick right now. I'm in the process of actually searching for about 8 positions for several different clients right now, and I'm seeing a pattern with each and every single of those clients, and that is that we have a lot of people who are submitting their resumes online, but what they're not doing is they're not actually going to fill out the actual application. I say this to answer this question, all right? So in order to get the kind of talent that you want in place, you need to look at your offerings package. And if it's something to where your offerings package is attractive, if your offerings package is something that's going to draw in the right kind of employee that you're actually looking for, then that means that you're giving them benefit that is appealing to them. And then for this individual, he has 2 employees that usually take their 3-week vacations, their 3 weeks of vacation per year in full. Well, you're giving them an attractive benefit package, and that is by bringing them in, you're giving them a benefit to not only bring them in, but to keep them as well, right? So you're providing them full vacations. You're providing them the opportunity to earn time away. But then they take it. So you can't have it both ways. You can't have something that's an attractive package to bring somebody in, but yet expect them not to utilize it. This is their time, okay? He says that they're good, but I don't like that they are not more committed. Well, then my suggestion would be take a step back and actually think about what it is defining commitment to you. So are they the kind of employee that is a clock watcher, will only work their scheduled hours from 9 to 5, won't touch email, won't do anything after hours if there's something of precedence, and they only come in and then and then they take their vacation because it's their time. So right now for them, the employee, their commodity is time, and they're going to utilize their benefits because that's what you're promising them. So it's hard to understand the context of this question if you say, I don't like that they're not more committed. Well, are they missing their deadlines? Are they not getting work done? Are they a problem child? Are they running around creating havoc in the work environment? Okay, those are indications of people not being committed. If they are getting their work done, if they're getting the work done without flaws, like major ones, everybody's going to make a mistake, but if they are really producing and they're meeting your expectations, then it sounds like to me that they are committed to meeting expectations. Now, if what you're watching for is are they checking email after hours when they get home? Are they doing work after hours when they get home? Then if you're expecting people to do that because you're at home working, well, they're not going to have the same level of commitment as you are as a business owner or as a CEO or as an executive, because your job and your responsibility is to make things happen. But that's you. You can't project that onto another employee if the employee is actually demonstrating that they're meeting your expectations, that they also from time to time exceed your expectations. So it's kind of a hard question to answer, but for the person that threw this out there, I challenge you to take a step back and understand what commitment is to you. So if you don't think that they're more committed, what are you expecting them to do? So, and this is something I see with CEOs, especially, entrepreneurs, individuals that own their own company. It's like they want their employees to be as passionate about their business as they can. I'm going to be upfront with you. What employees are passionate about are themselves. That's it. Employees are passionate about themselves. They are passionate about getting their check. They're passionate about getting their medical benefits. They're passionate about spending time with their families. Their passion starts when they clock in, it ends when they clock out. And that is going to be the typical employee. Now, when you have your drivers, those are individuals that are going to take extra time to learn and be really great at what they do. So they may not necessarily clock out. They'll probably clock out at the end of the day. They'll hold their business hours, but then they go home and they actually spend time studying. They read. So they take their work time and they actually produce work, and then they take their personal time to learn more about business in the specific industry or their field of expertise. When I was with ADP as an HR business partner, what I would do is exactly that. I would actually spend my time at work dealing with customer issues. I would spend an hour every day reading stuff in my industry, and that's how I was able to keep things up. So you may have employees that are actually doing that, and then you're going to have employees that are sacrificing productivity work for actually learning because it's an association relation with their job. Well, that's not bad either. So, this isn't a case of, so somebody's taking their full vacation, they're reaping the full benefit of what you are offering to them. They're getting necessary rest, typically, to keep themselves efficient and moving forward. So you have to adjust your mindset and get out of the thinking of, well, I'm going to give them this vacation, but I don't expect them to take it. Not to mention from a financial standpoint, that keeps liability on your books, which will impact your cash flow in the long haul too. So, because now all of a sudden people are going to want to take vacation that has been piling up, and you may not have the cash to go ahead and pay that out unless you're stashing it away. So, it's kind of you got to watch what you're doing, so you don't want to, knock your employees down. Again, just recognize that your definition of committed and their definition of committed, not the same, and rightfully so, because you two are in two totally different roles. So, but that was a really good question, and believe it or not, I actually do get that from time to time. People will make comments about how frustrated they get when their employees actually take their full vacation, or it seems like they're always burning their PTO. It's like, well, you're giving it to them to use. You're going to have to put yourself in the mindset that they're probably going to use it, and if they use it, they're not going to be around doing work. So, you just have to manage through all that. Okay. Another question. This one actually killed me. I thought this was a great question. Is it okay to fire somebody via email? No, it's not okay to fire anybody via email. It's bad. It's tacky. It shows a very strong level of disrespect for the employee. I don't care if the employee is a bonehead and showing disrespect towards you. You don't do that in email. Now, here's a stronger reason why. When you send a message in an email, or if you have an employee that sends a distasteful joke in email, here's what's happening. It becomes a legal document. Now, I'm not an attorney, and I'm not giving legal advice. I'm talking to you from a place of experience, from having worked with IT departments to actually go back into email and look at things and use those things as evidentiary support in cases and issues that we've had to move forward with. Anything that a person puts in email is the property of the company. It's intellectual property at that point. It does not belong to the employee, which is the whole reason why when it comes to what George's rule on, there is no expectation of privacy in the workplace. So when you internally, as a company representative, whether you're the owner or your CEO, your hired employee, if you are documenting something of an action that impacts an individual's employment, that is a legal document now, and it will stand and it will hold and it will be discoverable easily if somebody were to file a complaint. It's also a coward's way out, to be honest with you. If you don't have the guts to have a conversation with your employee, you're going to fail in a lot of different areas. And I'm sorry that that's kind of harsh sounding, but that is very much the truth. So, don't put yourself in a position to where you're not being viewed as somebody who can have a direct conversation with their employee. Don't put yourself in a position where you're going to be viewed as an individual. Sorry, almost lost Facebook there. As an individual who is reasonable. So, not to mention when you're writing something like that in an email, basically what you're saying is giving your employee this document that you can hand right on over to their attorney and say, I was terminated for, by the way, here are all the reasons, and this is what the guy wrote. Bad, 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 right? Don't do that. That's bad. You don't want that. All right, so no, it's not okay to fire somebody via email. I have had to terminate people via phone, and that's, a little uncomfortable, but, that's been a situation where the person has actually been in a foreign country and working on a government contract, so. All right, another question. What effect or impact does affirmative action have on employees and workplace? So affirmative action is actually designed to systematically identify and eradicate behaviors that are leading to unfair practices that put minorities at a disadvantage. That's the whole purpose behind it. It's kind of a complicated process. You definitely need help writing an affirmative action plan. We have a partner, Outsolve, really great company on writing affirmative action plans. Basically what that is the company's statement as to, how the company would go about ensuring that minorities are going to be hired. So the goal of affirmative action is to make sure that when companies are at that size, and this definitely applies to government contractors, when a company gets to that size or that qualification as being a government contractor, it ensures that there's fair and equitable distribution amongst the workforce. So it is of my opinion that our workforce is even more diversified than what it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. So I think affirmative action is good when it comes to addressing that, but it's to me it's starting to not make sense anymore because our workplace is more diverse. Just our population as a whole is more diverse. So I can anticipate affirmative action eventually kind of dying off, but if it's followed to the letter of what it's intended to do, it ensures women, minorities, those with disabilities, veterans, it ensures all of those individuals are getting a fair shot. So I like the idea of it because I want people to succeed, and that's just how I am. But how it affects the workplace, it's not as, we don't see the same impact of it today than we did back in the day when it was really first, looked upon, when it was really first enacted. And, if you remember the whole Clarence Thomas, Anita Hill days, and that's when we started to see a lot more affirmative action, activity taking place. So I think the more our culture as a U.S., as a country, becomes diverse, the more we're going to see affirmative action being even more effective. So that's my thoughts on affirmative action. All right, next question. I have an employee who asked for a 200% raise, and when rejected said that he is going to switch companies if I don't comply. Do I fire him? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out who's outside. Anyway, so you know what? Here's the thing. You want people who want to stay, right? I mean, you want good employees. And you know what? If a person is not happy, let them go. I mean, if they're coming up and telling you that they want a 200% raise, which is, I don't even know what this person does, it's ridiculous. At 200, who asks for 200%? That also could be somebody lining you up for a fall. So, look, if the individual is wanting something that really outside of the ballpark, you know what? If they're not happy, just let them just say, hey, you know what? And again, you have to put this in the right context. But there could be a strategy to where you sit there and say, apparently you're not happy, or we'll be happy to go ahead and have mutual breakup, and let them go on their way. But I wouldn't fire them if they're asking for a 200% increase. I think it's a very unreasonable thing. Matter of fact, if you're going to terminate somebody for a performance reason. Just asking for a raise, not a performance reason. All right, you are better off asking or terminating somebody based off of their performance or lack thereof, or poor performance, than you are over these subjective things. I mean, 200%, that's just, what? Who does that? But anyway, if you're going to terminate somebody, terminate them for their inability to perform the role and their inability to perform in the manner which you require. All right, so I have 2 employees that usually leave work at 6 p.m. They're good, but I don't like that their commitment lasts for work hours only. What should I do as a CEO? I think this might have been the same CEO question from before, or same CEO author from before, and that's fine. So again, it comes back down to your commitment. So as an employer, you're setting the standard as to what the expectation of work is for that particular day. That's your job. There's stuff that you need to go. Again, you have to look back at what your commitment is. Is your commitment that you want people to go above and beyond all the time? Well, then you're going to have to hire above and beyond people, but be prepared that above and beyond people are also going to require you going above and beyond and showing them appreciation, or showing them increases, and showing them that there's value attached to their going above and beyond, right? So you want a highly motivated workforce. But if you don't like the fact that their commitment lasts for work hours only, if you just don't like that, here's the honest truth of it. That's their schedule. And they are not obligated to do anything more other than their schedule. That's the hard, cold truth of this. And if you require people to work overtime, you can do that. You also have to compensate them for overtime if they're not exempt from earning it. So as a CEO, I would probably take a very hard look in the mirror and understand, again, what commitment means to you, where it aligns. If you're asking people to be as passionate about your company as you are, you may be asking the wrong thing of your people, because individuals are not focused on, honestly, they're not focused on your life and your welfare. They're focused on theirs. So if they are only required to work X number of hours, then they're going to do it. If you need them to work additional hours, and you're going to have those individuals that are, at a higher level of management, they're likely going to do that because the demands of work are more, and they need to keep up. So, that's going to be normal. But if you're talking about a non-exempt hourly employee that is only working their hours, number one, you want them to only work their hours, because you don't want to be in legal hawk with having them work more and not paying them if you don't want to pay overtime. And if they work more, whether they have, sought approval or not, you're obligated to pay them overtime. So if you're only talking about exempt employees, well, if your position when you brought that person on, that their role is specific to working, 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week, and you're not happy that they're not working 60 hours a week, then you're setting the wrong expectation when they come in the door, and you're setting the wrong expectation for yourself too. So I think you need to take a step back and actually really honestly look at what exactly it is you are expecting from your employees. So, sorry guys. So for those of you who haven't joined, I just want to, just give another shout out, just a reminder before we close out today. Again, mark calendars, May 9th at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're going to do a live stream for American with Disabilities Act for employers, and helping people understand what they are required to do under ADA. Okay, That is going to be probably between 30-minute to 45-minute presentation. It is going to be on Instagram and Facebook Live. Following that at 3:30 on May 9th, we're going to do another ADA presentation, American with Disabilities Act presentation, but this one is specific for employees. So this also is going to be a 30 to 45-minute presentation, again streamed live on Instagram and Facebook. And I am looking forward to it. If you miss these, both of these will be on the YouTube replay under Best Practices in Human Resources. Today's video, HR Coffee Talk, is also going to be put on YouTube, the recap of that. And then our next podcast episode, next podcast episode is going to be a good one for employers on how to prepare to talk to your employment attorney, and that release is coming out this Wednesday, tomorrow actually. So how you find us on the podcast series, we're on 9 different platforms. You can go to bestpractices.work and click on the podcast link, and you'll be able to find out where yours are. So folks, thank you again for another opportunity. We do this every week. It was a little difficult, last week while I was traveling, and I apologize for that. I had these really great backdrops and sceneries, and I just could not get the technology working as I wanted to. So, things you have to think about, right? So, look, if you got friends in human resources and you've got people that you know in HR, and you want to learn more about, all the challenges that do tend to take place in this industry, look, grab your cup of coffee, put it on your calendar, 10 o'clock. Come join me, ask your questions. I get a really great collection of questions throughout the week, and I bring them here so that you guys have them, but, I want to know what's on your mind. I want to know what you guys are thinking about, and my goal, again, is to help provide that necessary support for you. So, guys, thanks again. I'm very excited to have y'all watch this. I appreciate it. Double check, check the YouTube channel in a little while for the actual live update. And you guys have a really wonderful, wonderful day. Thanks for joining, folks. Have a good one.